Saw a bunch of arms and legs everywhere, spread all over the lawn, all over the driveway. So I have a decent amount of personal stories where I can clearly see the reticular activation system, universal intelligence, working in such an incredible, mysterious way that there's absolutely no doubt that there's a bigger plan at work. And this one, in my opinion, is the most powerful. It's one that I don't really share. It's a matter of fact, I haven't shared this one with really anybody outside of my very, very personal friends, very close friends. When I blew my fingers off and I'm laying in the hospital, the pain was very intense. And before I knew anything about meditation or how to go deep into the pain, even though I just had a fluke experience with it when I just first awoke after the surgery, at the point I came out of the trance because I heard my father's voice, the pain came back instantly. And then I was like, ooh, this hurts a lot. And I was given a lot of drugs, and I was given a lot of morphine. And in that loopy state, we are highly suggestible. When we are highly suggestible, we are able to connect directly to the source subconsciously. And sometimes we ask for things in that highly suggestible state, and it goes directly to the source without conscious intervention or conscious thought. It just goes directly into the subconscious and straight and gets uploaded to the universal intelligence. And one of the other things that can happen is we can be highly energized. Yes, we are on drugs, as I was. I was on a lot of morphine. However, we still have that energy that we can put into whatever it is that we're thinking. About a week after I blew my fingers off, my uncle on my mother's side was very kind for a moment because, I just had quite a traumatic experience. And he brought me a tiny little television that also had a VHS player in it. It was a complete set, and it was about this big. I think it was 18 or maybe 20 centimeters. It was quite small. Maybe 24 centimeters. It was quite small. However, it was beautiful, and to this day, I'm grateful. And with the television, he brought me 3 movies. At the time, I was the king of the hospital because I had basically the coolest setup in the hotel room with my own television. Old Soviet country. Anyhow, the movies that came with it were Star Wars. The first original Star Wars movies. I absolutely loved them. Of course, they were dubbed in Russian. However, I loved the movies. I loved the special effects, and I loved the story, the hero's journey. Outside of that, not even knowing what the hero's journey was, I truly, truly loved and could connect with the main hero because he lost his hand, and at the time I lost some fingers. There was some camaraderie, some solidarity there, if you will. So, really loved those movies, and I watched them a few times. And I imagined myself working in Hollywood with big movie stars on big movie projects. That's what I thought I wanted to do at the time. And I imagined myself learning how that's done, how the movies were made, learning how the whole process of it is made, how the special effects are done. I was specifically very intrigued about how the special effects are done. And I concentrated on figuring out how I'm gonna learn that. And later on, when we moved to the United States, I had a chance encounter, which really wasn't chance at all. Everything is on purpose. And I met the grandfather of special effects makeup because he ended up being one of my neighbors. As a matter of fact, when I was walking home from school, I saw a bunch of arms and legs everywhere, spread all over the lawn, all over the driveway. And instead of walking away like any normal human would, I walked directly towards where I heard noise and somebody kind of laughing maniacally. And when I walked up, I saw this huge 6'5" man with big gray hair and the kindest eyes. And I just kind of was looking around, and he's like, "Don't worry about them, they're just drying." And he proceeded to tell me that he was actually helping students with a class project because his trade, he has since retired, was special effects makeup. And later on, I actually found out that he had tons of Academy Awards, tons of Oscars, because he actually worked on Star Wars. He actually worked on a lot of movies. And he's since passed, but I miss him tremendously. I miss him tremendously. And I'm very grateful for what he taught me, because I spent the good part of 3 summers working with him, learning the trade, learning everything about special effects makeup, learning how to make movies, learning how to really do the art of special effects makeup as it was originally intended, without computers, but tangibly done. It's a little bit of a dying art because computers have since taken over, but it's so beautiful when it's done properly. You know, there's just something about Vaseline, charcoal, and liquid latex that is just beautiful. You can make anybody into a burn victim with just those 3 ingredients. But I digress. The reticular activation system worked because I watched those movies so many times. I put so much emotion into wanting to find out how the sausage is made, if you will, how those movies are made, how the special effects are done. And then I met the person who directed the special effects for those movies. You can't write this better. He was literally one of my neighbors. We spent more time together than I spent with, honestly, anybody else at that point in my life. And I'll be forever grateful, not just for the special effects training that I received, but also foundational training about how to be as a good human, how to be a really good human, how to not be money-centric, how to be focused on helping people, how to let go of materialism, and how to let your fun and play and ideas thrive. He was a beautiful and gentle soul, and I hope everybody meets somebody like him. Now, when I was laying in the hospital, watching Star Wars, wishing that I would get to do that, never in my wildest dreams did I think I would meet the creator, the person that literally did the special effects makeup on it. That's just one of many, many other examples I have of the power of the reticular activation system. It's so truly incredible. It's a law if you know how to use it properly. Best of all, I'm able to create the future that I really want and live it right now. Thank you for joining me on this journey. This is Nikita. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get it. Let's go.